Shut up. What is going on? Stop. Shh. Hey, stop it.
Come with it now. Bow wow, bow wow, bow wow, bow wow. Come with it now.
Just because of the fact that our heating system now decided to finally stop making noise because we are in the warehouse instead of in front of the wheel wall because we thought, you know what? Boxes are cool. Boxes and stuff are really cool. And of course, if you guys didn't know, we're doing a giveaway with TSW wheels. We'll drop a description below. It's a free set of wheels, any size, any finish. Let's get into it on 5 more mistakes you make when buying wheels and tires, because people make mistakes, right? We make mistakes, you make mistakes. I have made like a mistake or two in my life. And you know, a lot of times when we make mistakes with buying stuff, companies have a tendency to have to deal with it. Now, I wish I was lying to tell you that, you know, like we love when people make mistakes when they buy stuff, because it just really encourages us to spend more time doing emails, more time answering phone calls, and more time responding to comments about really simple stuff. But we don't. We really don't. So we decided to make this video to teach you guys 5 more mistakes that people make when buying wheels and tires, in hopes that we can help you when you're going through the wonderful purchase of picking up some wheels and tires, hopefully at fitmentindustries.com, where you can get wheels, tires, suspension, airlift, Accuair, all that sort of good stuff. You know, it's kind of our site, in case you didn't know. Anyway, there's the sales plug. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into thing number 1. Now, this is probably the fastest and easiest mistake that most people almost always overlook, and that's that they don't get aftermarket lug nuts or bolts. I have made that mistake when I bought my first set of wheels. I know everybody in the history of mankind has made a mistake with lug nuts or bolts if they've owned probably more than 5 sets of wheels. Not all the time are your stock lug nuts going to fit on your car. And if you use lug bolts, they're especially not going to be able to fit unless they're long enough. And a lot of times your OEM lug bolts aren't long enough to handle different size wheels. So you have to remember that when you're going in to buy wheels and tires, you're more than likely going to have to pick up a set of aftermarket lug nuts. Now, that can be conical seated, that can be different style, it can be thin walled. Your bolts could have longer length, especially if you're going into adding spacers with your wheels and tires. So make sure that you understand that you're gonna have to do that. Now, if you're looking to get some spike lug nuts, or maybe you're looking to get some kicks, we actually have them on the site. Second sales plug, you probably saw that one coming. That wasn't really that passive, to be honest. But you can actually pick up a lot of different lug nuts and sort of spike lug nuts and things like that that are gonna help you so that you don't have to worry about that. Because I know a lot of people that got a little bit upset or have been mad before that end up going on to put on their wheels. They try to put the lug nuts on and they don't fit. And then they go to O'Reilly's and they buy like the $40 ones that are like $16, and then you wonder why they're poop, and then they end up rusting out, and then you have to get them unseized from your mounting surface. It's just a complete mess. So make sure you buy them right away and just save yourself the trouble. The second mistake that people make when buying wheels and tires has to do with sizes and finishes, and most importantly, sizes and finishes. It's actually 2. It's a trick question. I thought I was gonna say just finishes because this is kind of just me going off, but it's really both. Here's why. Finishes, there's a million different kinds. You have like bronze, you have root beer, you have toffee, you have what looks like 4 hours after Taco Tuesday, you have rose gold, you have petal gold, you have chromium black, you have satin black, matte black, gloss black, satin glossy black. You have every different conceivable way of saying black with some sort of adjective or noun before it, because that's just what wheel companies do. But you have to know your finishes. Most importantly, your satin to your semi-gloss to your fully gloss. Obviously your gloss is gonna be your shiny. You have matte that's gonna be extremely flat. It's gonna have no shine at all. You have this little mix between the two that's more of a satin. It's kind of like a glossy flat. You're also gonna have polished versus chrome, where your polished is actually just the raw aluminum that's been polished up to give it that nice clean shine. It's actually pretty common in truck forged wheels. And then you have chrome, which is essentially dipped in the material itself, which can be kind of not always the best material, because especially if you live up north, it doesn't have the best effects in terms of salt and water and things like that. That's why a lot of times we recommend that you ceramic coat your wheels if you're getting that style of finish. But there's going to be different style wheels, and unfortunately, when wheel manufacturers put those pictures on websites and they give us those pictures, they're not always a super accurate representation of what the color actually is in real life. It's kind of like when you go on Facebook and you see a profile picture versus a tagged photo, and you're like, what the f is that? That's pretty much what it's like sometimes. So don't be fooled. And if you're looking to know what a wheel is actually going to look like in terms of color, you can actually just use our gallery at fitmentindustries.com/gallery, and you can see what color that's going to look like in real life, instead of a fancy one with a white background that makes all the bronzes look like all the other bronzes. And widths are the same way. You have to remember that when you're playing with width and when you're playing with offset, that's actually going to affect the design of the wheel. So if you're looking at a Rohana RF2, for instance, with the plus 42 offset, it's not gonna look the same on an 8.5 wide as it would an 11 wide, because what's gonna happen is because of the barrel gets stretched out and because of the mounting surface on the offset, it's actually gonna pull spokes back or push spokes up, and you can actually end up getting a convex wheel versus a concave wheel that you thought you were getting because of the stock image is only showing one style of wheel. So don't be fooled too much, and remember that that one stock photo is not gonna be an accurate depiction of color and style. Number 3 is more of a warning than a don't, but a lot of times what ends up happening is people buy things in this order. I was told to do palms up. It helps explain the karate chop. Wheels, tires, suspension. And then what happens is they get these wheels, they get these tires, they're super happy, they fit okay, and they're like, no, I wanna slam it on the ground. They slam it on the ground because they got suspension, and all of a sudden their wheels don't fit, or their tires don't fit, or their tires rub, or they have to get camber plates, and they have to get toe adjustment, and they have to get lower control arms and things like that because they just didn't fit the first time around. If you're going to for sure get into suspension with your wheels and tires, we would almost recommend buy all 3 at the same time, or making sure that you know that your wheels and tires are going to fit with whatever suspension you plan on buying. We've seen this mistake happen before. People buy a meaty setup, they buy a wide setup, and then they go and put it on air, and they rub all the way down, all the way up, driving, turning, pretty much everything short of just keeping the car still. So what ends up happening is people end up getting really upset, or they don't like it, and they try to blame the suspension, or they blame the wheels and tires, and really what it comes down to is suspension is going to be working independently from your wheels and tires. So to assume that suspension components are completely independent in terms of your purchase from your wheels and tires is not something that you want to be thinking. You always want to be thinking, how is it all going to flow together? And a lot of times wheels, tires, and suspension do go together like peanut butter and jelly, like Crown Royal vanilla and Coke, like receding hairlines and okay. So anyway, the 4th mistake we see a lot of people make when they're buying their wheels and tires is they go with the meaty setup, they figure out their suspension, they're ready to roll, and then they're angry. And you wanna know why they're angry? And you're like, Alex, why are they angry? They're angry because they didn't know that they were gonna have to roll or pull or modify their fender liners, yet they're running around with an 18 by 10.5 setup, square setup on a narrow body car. When you guys are going more aggressive with buying wheels and tires and suspension, or just wheels and tires in general, and I'm sorry, guys and gals, you are going to end up getting into this point where it's like, how aggressive can I get? Now, if you're a conservative folk, and you're just looking for guaranteed fitment, that's not a problem. Your 8.5s, that's why they exist. They're like that. They're like the grandma that you always go home to every once in a while. You get the warm coffee, you're happy, you're ready to roll, you leave a happy, full man. Now, if you're feeling a little bit aggressive, like you're gonna go down to downtown Chicago at like 9:30 on a Friday night without, you know, a bulletproof vest or like safety, that is when you start getting into the more aggressive stuff. And you have to remember that the more aggressive you get with wheels and tires, the higher chance is gonna become that you're gonna have to modify your fenders. Don't be surprised if you have to. Rolling fenders has become extremely common to make things fit. And in our world, rolling fenders is almost mandatory if you wanna fit anything even somewhat aggressive with a somewhat aggressive tire. A lot of times we're gonna recommend that even if you go with anything slightly more aggressive than your stock sizing, we're gonna recommend that you roll your fenders. So get used to it, warm them bad boys up, pull them out, and try not to, you know, peel off any paint in the meantime. And the final tip that we have is that when you're going to mount your wheels and tires on, torque them to spec for the love of God, and be sure to have the proper tools. So here's the biggest thing that happens, especially with people that own Euro cars, is that they put them on the lift, they take the wheels off, they go to put the new wheels on, and they smash the wheel into the wheel well. They're slamming it into caliper, they're slamming it into the mounting surface because they didn't get a little lug bolt extender that just kind of mounts the whole thing onto it, and it's super easy to put the rest on. Be sure that you have the right mounting tools. We would recommend that if you've got a Euro car, to get one of those lug bolt extenders. I'm sure there's an official name for them. We don't even sell them, but they're super nice. I have them, I love them. We have guys here that absolutely run them all the time. Just helps you get the wheels mounted. But when you're also gonna have to remember is that over time, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're cleaning that area correctly so that nothing seizes or heats up or kind of melts into each other. There are some Euro cars that have a tendency to do that. And we've seen people on the internet that will take a hammer to their OZs because they're literally seized onto the mounting pad. So be sure that you have that ready to go, and make sure you also have the knowledge when you're mounting these bad boys up. These wheels have to be torqued to spec. Like, that's the one thing where it's like 1 dugga, 2 dugga, 3 dugga. Like, don't do that. That's the one thing we recommend you don't dugga unless you know the dugga amount. If you don't know the dugga amount, you should go on Google so you can figure out what the appropriate dugga is. If you're just duggaing it until you don't know it anymore, you're pretty much gonna have a terrible time when it comes down to taking off your wheels. And I've made that mistake myself personally. Don't be that guy. Every single time I have to remind myself what the foot-pounds of torque is for my wheels, and you will want to make sure that you know that too before you end up putting those wheels on your car, because if you dugga before you have the answer to your dugga, you're gonna have a dugging bad time. That was a terrible pun. That was actually really atrocious. But those are our 5 mistakes for buying wheels and tires. Let us know what you think about it in the comment section below. If you're looking for wheels, tires, suspension, fitmentindustries.com. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We will see you later. Peace.